an utter shambles. It was an abomination. The single pivot doesn't work. It exposes, doesn't matter whether it's Casemiro or Amrabat. It's irrelevant. They've been exposed all season. There's a reason that we've lost 5 of our last 8 home games. There's a reason we've lost 8 of our 15 games so far this season. The last time that happened was 1962. 1962, the last time we lost this many of our opening few games. This isn't about the manager per se or a player or two not being good enough. This is a team that do not believe in what their manager is asking them to do. He has tried to change it up. This has not worked. The man-to-man marking, the structure is absolutely horrendous. We are too easy to play against, too easy to beat. And we've nicked a few results recently against lesser teams, narrowly, I will add. And I don't think any Man United fan would be shocked tonight, not just with the score line, but the performance by this team. It was everything I expected it to be. Players not running, players not listening, players absolutely devoid of ideas, no variety to our play. This is a group of players who are not playing for their manager. He built a foundation to grow from last season. He has abandoned whatever he was doing. He has made horrendous purchases because the likes of Mount, the likes of Amrabat, Mount, I never wanted him anyway. We've seen Amrabat's qualities. We've seen Onana's qualities. We've seen Højlund's qualities, and none of them are being highlighted. Anthony, we watched him in the Eredivisie. We watched him in the Champions League with Ajax. Whatever he's being asked to do at Man United, it's not working. Everything is wrong. Absolutely everything is wrong. And I'm at a point where I'm not angry as in blasting out like pejoratives and going crazy, because I'm beyond that now. I've come to the realization this manager's got to go. His plan, his ideas have not worked, and they will not work. Ten Hag is not turning this around. I know there's a lot of Man United fans saying it's still early in his tenure. He could turn this around. He can't. Forget the shape for a moment. Forget the tactics not working. Forget £400 million wasted on the wrong profile of players. Ignore all of that. Let's imagine that doesn't exist. These players are not working for him. The way we are moving the ball, the attitudes on the football pitch is completely reminiscent of the last few months of Jose Mourinho, the last few months of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. It's identical. In fact, I can't tell the difference between them. The players have down tools. Now, that's another conversation, in my opinion, for another day. I know that isn't right. But this group of players are outlasting their 6th manager. We know what this club is about. That doesn't mean Ten Hag hasn't made mistakes. I think he's made a rod for his own back. I really do. He has got it horribly wrong. And he's got to go. This team is in disarray. It is devoid of imagination. There is no self-assurance. There is no togetherness. And that stems from, there's so many factors, but a big key one is this manager has got it wrong and they don't believe in him anymore. To lose 8 of 15 and to only have one good performance all year, and that was in the Carabao Cup against Crystal Palace. This is beyond just a few players are out of form. And as we saw today, it didn't matter that Rashford and Bruno were not in the side. We still play exactly the same. And as I've been telling people, and this isn't a defense of those two, they have been dog breath. This isn't a quick fix at the club. Replace one manager, replace a few players. We have no plan as a club. We were led to believe again that they were going to create something with this manager. By the way, as they told us with the previous 3 or 4, and as we now see, there is no togetherness. There is no pulling in the same direction. And his starting lineup was horrendous today. It was weak. It exposed Casemiro's old age again. The fact that we're not starting with a double pivot with Amrabat and Casemiro at the moment, making ourselves compact and hard to break down, not conceding very many goals, protecting that dodgy back line with those injuries, it's an abomination. It's an absolute abomination. And I do want the manager sacked. I want him out of the club tonight. Doesn't mean, before anybody gets a little bit necky, that I believe the next guy is going to come in and turn us into world beaters. But there is absolutely no point keeping him at the club. The way we performed today, the way we performed against City, in fact, the way we've performed in 14 of our 15 games this season is not going to change because a few players return from injury or we start scoring a few more goals. It is done. Believe you me, I'm as gutted as the next man. But I've seen this before too many times. This will not be turned around. This isn't a bad run of form that we can get out of. This is the players saying we don't want to do this anymore. And part of me doesn't blame them, by the way. The toxicity internally, the fact that they're being asked to play a brand of football that doesn't work, the fact that they're being told to do things in the system, this man-to-man marking that's exposing people, everyone's being pulled out of position, they must be fuming. And it doesn't give them an excuse to work as to have no work rate. Like genuinely, it's not an excuse for them. I kind of understand it. I'm at a point now where I genuinely believe you give us the Man City squad, within a year, the football would look like this. You give us the Liverpool squad, in a year, the football would look like this. And some of that is on the manager and coach that we hire. And the other part of that is the toxic, negative, putrid abomination of a culture that this football club has. I want to say well done to Newcastle tonight. I don't want to make it all about us. They were very good. But it was their B team that absolutely ripped us limb from limb. Limb from limb. The individual, Delo tonight at right back, shit my boots. What a disgraceful performance from him. Casemiro being spread thin. Hannibal, look, got himself needlessly booked, should have got sent off. I can't believe he stayed on the football pitch as long as he did, but that was an immature and naive performance from him. Anthony, the fidget spinner. Zoolander, bruv. Man can't go right. I just don't know the point. I just don't see the point of him. And Garnacho just looking absolutely devoid of ideas. And part of that is them individually. The other element is I just don't think they know what to do. The lack of drilling that they must go through is unbelievable. And it's painful and somewhat heartbreaking as a Manchester United fan to watch this. But I've been witnessing the slow death of my football club now for 17 years, and it's here. We are a mid-table team. We have loads of money, but we are run like a mid-table team, and we will continue to perform like a mid-table team. Nothing is going to get better. Nothing is going to improve. And if you're deluding yourself thinking a new manager is going to make us better, we might play some nicer football, granted, but we are never going to improve in the medium to long term. And it's a sobering, saddening factor. But Ten Hag's got to go. He simply must lose his job. Has to happen.